Foundation. So we're really blessed to have him. I called you all to here together today. Here's the reason why we're here. Uh, you know, it's come to my knowledge basically through not through anyone in our subregion, but I got the feeling from someone else who called me out of our subregion. They gave me a call and they started asking me questions. And this was one of the pastors, and he started asking me questions, and I quickly realized that this pastor of a small, medium-sized church in our community was really struggling to understand what was going on at this time. Didn't really understand the mother's memoir. Didn't understand some of the providence that's taking place in the moment. And so I realized, oh my gosh, he's in a place where I thought maybe that wouldn't be the problem. And then the more I thought about it, the more I realized it was God helping me understand that to help our membership understand what Heavenly Parent is doing, why True Mother why now? Why is her book coming out now? What is God doing? And I felt like this is something that we all need. We all need to understand, not just the upper echelons of our movement, the leadership, but everybody down to the grassroots, every single family member, every blessed central family, every single person and married couple need to understand what we're doing and why Mother is asking us to do this now. And so with that understanding, I felt, well, what I wanted to really do is speak to each and every one of you. And with the blessing of Zoom, we can do that. Isn't that incredible? I'm learning every day how incredible this system is and what God's planning. So I just thank you for that. I may have shared this with you. If I have, please bear with me. I won't be long. I just want to tell you a little thing that happened to me a couple weeks ago. I woke up in the morning, and it was Sunday morning, and I tell you, I had a dream basically, and in my dream I woke up, and I was thirsty, and I was so thirsty, like it was like an incredible thirst, and so I went into my kitchen, and I turned on the water, and I filled up a pretty good sized glass, and I downed it like that, and then you know how a glass of fresh water makes you feel, right? Well, I downed that glass of water, and it was like, man, I'm so thirsty. And then I downed the second one. And I went, wow, what's going on? I'm so thirsty. And I downed the third one. And then, even though I had 3 huge glasses of water in me, and I was full, still I was thirsty. And I thought, what's wrong with me? And then this feeling in my dream went on and on and on for like days. And I just couldn't do it. I couldn't quench my thirst. No Coca-Cola could do it. No glass of water could do it. No limeade or lemonade. Nothing quenched my thirst. And finally, what happened was I got a phone call or an email or something like that from Reverend Dunkley, and Dr. Kim's message was, True Mother wants to see you. You got to get on a Zoom call like right now. And so we got on this Zoom call, and we were like this, just like this, with all these little windows opened up with all the leaders across the world. And we were sitting there, and Mother came and she spoke to us. And as she was speaking to us, it was like this incredible thing happened. Just the sound of Mother's voice was actually enough. But Mother was giving us the word of God. And as she spoke to us, it was like the only thing that could quench this thirst that I had. And I realized I wasn't thirsting for something that was physical. I was thirsting for the Word of God. I was really not just the Word of God spoken by you or me or some other great preacher, but I was thirsting for the true parent's word, for Mother's word. And it was the only thing that could quench my thirst. And then after that, I woke up and I was like, what is going on? And I realized what's going on is I really need this book. I need this book. I need this book that Mother has invested herself in and wants to share with the world. I really need this book. And so and I felt like if I don't get it, I'm gonna perish from thirst. So from that, once I had this dream, I thought, wow, God's really trying to tell me this is so serious. Not just serious, but like it's really important that what it is. It's the love of mother. It's a gift of true parents. And I've not read a syllable. I've not seen one verse yet. And I can't wait till this book comes out. And I'm just longing for it, actually. And so, first of all, I want to share that with you because God wouldn't be doing that to me if mother wasn't going to say something that really could change our relationship with true parents, and with true mother in particular. So that's been happening to me ever since she appointed me as a sub-regional director. I felt that difference in the relationship, and I really want each of us. I believe this memoir that Mother has written, or that has given us as a gift, is really something that can do that for every single brother, sister who's out there. It can change your relationship with true parents and deepen that relationship. So I asked Rev. Tom to come on, Mr. McDevitt to come on, because out of all the brothers and sisters in America today, I've been witnessing firsthand how Mother has put great trust into Tom, and I've been this book is an example of it. Mr. McDevitt has been he's been the person who's been tapped by true parents to produce the book and take responsibility for that, and that's amazing, and it's really important. And also he's had an opportunity because of he and many others are working on the translation of the book. He's had opportunity to sit down and to read it and to feel it's what it is and what it's about and so forth. And so I really wanted you to catch that before it comes out, so that that you can get it, and also that you can share it with somebody else. Not because I said you had to, not because somebody else said you must do it, but because you understand what it's there for and what True Parents is trying to do. So that's really my motivation here, and that's why I've asked you here. So, and I'm really, Tom, thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for joining us. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Mr. Tom McDevitt, the president or chair of the Washington Times Foundation and the Magnolia Foundation, the USA, or is it international?
Oh, it's the HJ Magnolia Global Foundation.
Global Foundation. So let's welcome him with a big old Southwest.
I smell the barbecue, John.
Man, I'm telling you.
Texas barbecue is my second. I like North Carolina first, but Texas is better.
We're going to help you with that.
It's great to see all of you, and it's my honor. I've been thinking about this the last couple of days. Rev.John Jackson and I had a great conversation the other day, and I think we spent almost an hour on the phone. And last Thursday, we had a similar meetup with Subregion 2, and had almost 100 people there, and Reverend Patton has asked me to help out. So it's a treasure for me to take time to share, and because through this I discover even what's going on in my own heart. It is an amazing opportunity, and I'm so glad that Rev.John Jackson pulled you all together. So I'd like to talk about, I'm going to put my timer on here, John. It's 9:13, 9:12. So how about if I take about 15 minutes or so to kind of lay the groundwork, maybe go a little longer. It is such a rich moment in our providential history and our personal history, our patriotic history in America, and certainly around the world. I wrote a reflection on Sunday. You probably all saw the service with Dr. Kim and Reverend Dunkley. And then on May 8th, did you all see the program in Korea when Mother gave her speech? And I told my brother John, be sure to get a copy of that speech. I carry it. I keep a binder of all the famous the big speeches. This is the May 8th speech, and you can see I go into it and kind of highlight and outline and pull out the key points and make them my own. I've done that for decades, from the time we used to go hear fathers' conferences as state leaders. And this speech is like, in my experience, it's like equal to the Yankee Stadium speech or some of the major talks Father gave, some of the Foundation Day speech in 2013. This was a seminal moment in history. Mother had done Junsung for 55 days. It's the first time in 3 months she came out and spoke publicly on the global level. And you must do a service to yourself and your family. Get it, download it, print it out, and read it at least 5 or 6 times. So I shared my impressions in a letter that I sent to Dr. Kim, and I sent it to Dr. Yun, and he read the whole thing. I mean, it blows me away. I mean, that doesn't happen a lot. But I wanted to share my sense of what happened Sunday with the announcement of the Heavenly Parent Holy Community, which is rooted in this speech on this day, right? And here's what I said. The brilliant launch of the Heavenly Parent Holy Community, for me, creates a new sense of belonging. It's like my identity changed. It enhances my own identity in relationship to Heavenly Parent and true parents and all other people. This is a new name for humanity. It's a new brand, a new identity, which is shared in common with all people. It is the most meaningful, inclusive, powerful, and intriguing brand concept. I come from a marketing and publishing background and part of my career and studied branding very, very seriously. I say to Mother, you, true Mother, have renamed human civilization from the perspective of living in Chanilgur, right? True Mother lives in that realm. We're dabbling in it. We taste it occasionally. She lives in this realm. And as you'll see from her book, she's been living in this realm from the day she started being aware of herself when she's a little girl. I go on to say, true parents dwell in this state and have provided the channel for all of us to join with you and Heavenly Parent to also taste, experience, and actually live in the state of Heavenly Parent's embrace and the embodiment of true love. I go on to share other stuff, but it was such an important moment. So lesson number 1, takeaway number 1 tonight, John, is get the speech, study it, read it. If you have an iPhone or a phone that's got a recorder, record it in your own voice and listen to your own voice reading this speech. It's so powerful. It's that important. And there are some critical civilization level directives in this speech that it's important to study. And that's, of course, the background to Heavenly Parent Holy Community. So I'm going to start with that. And now we have the biography, which is kind of reshaped, in our view, as a memoir. It's really called an autobiography, and in a sense it is, but it really is a lot closer, in literary terms, to a memoir, which is an author will talk about anecdotes or stories in their life. And that's what this is. As I mentioned to John, when I read it a couple times and helped with the editing team, and for me it's like we're going on a trip, like a 7-day trip with Mother, and we're going to spend an entire week with her, morning to night, right? Traveling to the Grand Canyon or wherever it is, all through the beautiful region that you all live in, which I love dearly, the Rockies, Texas, all the way up to the northern part there. And it's like Mother at breakfast and at dinner every day is going to take an hour, and she's going to sit back and relax. After you've eaten, you feel real satisfied. There's no tension in the air at all. And she takes a deep breath, and she remembers a segment of her life. And she shares this story. She kind of goes back in time. And the nature of the poetry in the way she wrote is such that it transports you. Now, in that sense, it's going to be a journey, and I encourage you all to continue to pray for your 43. That's so important. But also pray about your personal relationship with Heavenly Parent, which is the purpose of the book. The purpose of the book isn't to draw you to True Mother only. It's through True Mother to Heavenly Parent. And through that, to get a deeper sense of your own identity. That's what I'm experiencing. The key word for me is transformation. I've been in our movement since 1973. I've never looked back once I joined with my brother Mike, and went through a lot of difficulties. Lost my wife, lost a son. Felt like I've been on the front line of a culture war, and I saw real casualties. And I feel today like I just joined. I'm not saying that as just hyperbole, because of my experiences with True Mother. She is the center of human civilization level change, and she's carrying the baton forward. Father wanted to get it done, went into heaven. She committed and is moving it forward. So I am so excited to show you a couple things. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to show you the cover, because the cover of a book is real important. And then we're going to go into the book, and I'm going to just give you some taste of it to whet your appetite. And the most important thing tonight is to get a feel for this, shift your mindset. I'm telling you, this book is the kind of book that can change a person's life. I've had maybe a dozen books in my life, including The Principle, the Bible, books by Stephen Covey, books by other people I've read that have changed my life. This book has that power. And it starts with me. It starts with you. Peace starts with me. So the first order of business is prepare yourself. When you get it, take time to read it. Read it out loud with your spouse. Read it with your kids, or just read it on your own. And get your own experience rooted. At the same time, what we want to do is engage all those 43 people we love so dearly so they can have an experience. And that's kind of the formation stage of a marketing effort. So the book is being published by the Washington Times Global Media Group. And I'm now going to share my screen. John, you got to let me share my screen here. Or whoever the host is. Can someone do that? John?
Let me see.
Oh, there you are. Is it Isaac?
Yeah. You got it, Isaac?
Yeah, I'm looking at it. Okay, why don't you try again?
There we go. We're in. We're good. Okay, sorry for my messy desk here, but this is what I want to show you. Can you see that? You see it okay, Isaac? Oops, sorry.
Yes.
Yes?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, no? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so this is the cover. It's you have the Mother of Peace and the Book of Revelations quote. Let me blow it up a little bit here. The Book of Revelations quote from Revelations 21, verse 4, and God shall wipe away all the tears from their eyes. It's a memoir by Dr. Hak-Chan Moon. And look at this beautiful quote. This language down here, I'm on the bottom underneath Mother's picture, comes from the Korean text, the Korean cover, which had flaps. Ours is going to be soft, just like Father's autobiography. It's not going to have flaps. But this comes from, and I'm going to read it. For the first time, I'm opening up a window into my life. I do so with the hope that the story of this life, lived in accordance with God's love, will inspire in others the same mission, passion, devotion, and dream. And then you see Mother's signature. You got to meditate on that language, right? Her orientation is not to draw you to her, in my opinion. It's to draw you in so that you become different, that it'll inspire others with the same mission, the passion, devotion, and dream of True Mother. That's powerful. It's a you-oriented. It's customer-oriented. And let's go over here to the other side. Let's see here. Whoops, 1 second. Sorry. I'm going to read on the top of the back cover here. This comes also from whoops. There we go. On the far left, this is stuff that we edited a bit, but it tells the story, right? And it's the It's like the moderator or the MC speaking to the audience, speaking to the reader. Hak Ja Han Moon leads an interreligious and international movement for peace. Since her war-torn childhood, she's yearned to realize God's dream of peace. Her path led her to the holy wedding with Reverend Sun Myung Moon and an unimaginable life of sacrifice, perseverance, and devotion to God and humankind. Her story is a noble and touching drama of a village girl called to serve God's purpose as the mother of peace. And then we did something different. I reported to Dr. Yun, who reported to True Mother we were going to do this. We lifted the paragraph from this recent speech. So this is absolutely current. My lifelong goal, these are Mother's words to the reader. My lifelong goal and determination is to fulfill the dream of God. Our Heavenly Parent longs to live together with all of us as generations of good and loving people, forming the holy Heavenly Parent's holy community, one family under God. I'm determined to bring that dream into reality during my remaining years, and I invite all my readers to join me in this historic task. I just think that's so beautiful. So there's an invitation, a call at the heart of this book for the reader to join True Mother, including, most importantly, all of us, all of our Blessed Central families. And then we have some beautiful quotes. These are 4 representative endorsements. We have 7 pages of endorsements inside that you'll see. First, from Bishop Noel Jones. The Lord has always provided illumination in the darkest times. So we thank him for inspiring this memoir, Mother of Peace, authored by his luminary, Mother Moon. And Dr. Rouse and his wife. This inspiring memoir reveals the divine heart within our beloved True Mother, the only begotten daughter, and describes her true love in building the holy community on earth. They worked on that quote. It was like they were writing some poetry, right? And then Dan Burton. Now, of course, you know Dr. Rouse is our national co-chair for ACLC and very important in the WCLC Christian revival that will occur around the world. And then we have Congressman Dan Burton and his wife, Dr. Samia Burton, who is the international co-chair of IAPP. Mother Moon is bringing God's message to the world and works to help marriages and families survive during these troubled times, bringing all nations and religions together to achieve world peace. And then finally, from Africa, Dr. His Excellency Goodluck Jonathan, who is the former president of Nigeria, but he's also the chairman of International Summit Council for Peace in Africa, which is the head of, it's the heads of state organization that is current and former heads of state. Mother Moon's memoir is one of a life lived in total devotion to God and humanity. It comes at a time when our fragmented world is in dire need for a comprehensive view of world peace. This book is a must-read for all. So I'm so grateful for these folks. We collected them in very short order. Whoops, sorry. I want to show you one more thing. The publisher is down here on the bottom. You can see the Washington Times Global Media Group. That's a new company. We renamed something that was a dormant company that we founded back in 08, 09. And we're going to be publishing the biographies of the Sonic Peace Prize winners, like Macky Sall and other kind of books. So I'm so excited. At this time, I'm heading up this company, and this is the unit that we're using to publish the book. So let me close this one now, and I'm going to open the book itself. I'll bring it up over here. There you go. And 1 sec. There we go. Let's blow it up. And what I'd like to do is give you kind of a flyby of the book. It's so nicely done. Let me go back here. Oops, sorry. I'm going to have to scroll up. There we go. There we go. Can you still hear me okay?
Yes.
Good. Okay, is this okay doing this? All right,
Oh,
everyone relaxed?
Yep.
So just take a deep breath here. So we got the first couple of pages. Come on, babe. There we go. So we have right on the top, of course, letter A. These are alphabetical. Pastor Mark Abernathy, right? I'm going to read just the one or two of these. From a child in North Korea to her journey into adulthood in South Korea and on to America, the mission of Hak Ja Moon is the mission of Hak Ja Moon has always been to bring peace and unity among all people. After you read her life story, you will agree that Dr. Moon is the mother of peace. God, we all love him, man, and we got to work with him because a man like Mark Abernathy has a sphere of influence in his church, and it radiates out from his church. So if we do this right, guys like Mark Abernathy and other pastors and influencers, we work with them in the right way, we can reach 1,000 people through him, right? And then you have Adesina, who is the Sonic Peace Prize winner, and a couple of parliamentarians from Canada, and John Doolittle, and Pastor Jesse and Tanya Edwards, and people from all over the world, former heads of state, Cardinal Kelvin Felix from the Catholic faith, Rabbi Glaubach, and here's the president of the National Assembly and the interim president or acting president of Venezuela, Juan Guaido, famous, right? He grew up with us. He studied Causa 15, 18 years ago. And you got all these wonderful people, the former president of Israel, the vice president of Nepal, and Good Luck Jonathan, Bishop Noel Jones, and goes on and on and on. And so you can read these and take strength from the testimonies of all these wonderful people that have joined together with True Mother, including Jim Woolsey, former head of the CIA, the president of Bolivia. I love Jonathan Gullery is a very gifted designer. He's been 25 years in the book industry. He's the person who laid this out. And our editing team was headed up by Dr. Tyler Hendricks and Julian Gray, and they did a wonderful job with Larry Moffat and Cheryl Wedstein of taking the Korean and translating it into English and then smoothing out the English so that it really does read like a really great. It is a great work of literature, and I'm going to. There we go. This is the face page. Mother of peace, and God shall wipe away all the tears from their eyes. Go back to Revelations and read the 21st chapter, and that's the context here, right? She is the embodiment of the prophecy in the book of Revelation, as his father, of course. A memoir by Hak Ja Moon. We'll show you the opening page here. You'll see the second paragraph. This is the English edition of Dr. Hak Ja Moon's memoir, originally written in Korean. With Dr. Moon's express permission, efforts been made to render some passages in a way that make them more understandable to readers unfamiliar with the Korean language, history, and culture, or with the unification movement and its teachings. So True Mother, through Dr. Yun, gave Dr. Hendricks the mandate, make this readable for America and for the Western world. And by the way, I know that many of you have many people that speak Spanish in your region. So we have a Spanish translation team that has had experience with the Holy Scriptures and Father's autobiography. And so we're just waiting to pull the trigger on that to get that going also in French and in other languages. So that, and then there's a website here, motherofpeace.com, which is kind of a generic website. Look at the table of contents just briefly here. Chapter 1, My Cherished Lifelong Wish. It starts off with this amazing scene of the independence movement in 1919. And it's a story of a woman who goes there with a girl on her back, an infant on her back, and its mother's grandmother who participated in those rallies, which were life-threatening, right? It's so amazing. And then she talks about various things, the Sonic Peace Prize, the ocean, and then chapter 2, I came into this world as only begotten daughter. Chapter 3 is the marriage supper of the Lamb. 4 is God shines upon a path of thorns, the emblem of kingdom of heaven, creating a road to one world. Today's growing pains brings tomorrow's sunshine. The mother builds the family builds the world. God's kingdom in our midst. the challenge of realizing a heavenly world and the restoration of Canaan in heaven and on earth. And as again, you'll see this, it's like a play, and it's got, all these different scenes, but it does really touch the seminal moments of True Mother's life. And so what I thought we'd do tonight is touch a little bit of the preface, and then show you a couple of other experiences. And I'm just going to set the scene here. It's in Africa. Are we doing okay? Everyone all right? Okay. Sao Tome and Principe, an island nation of Africa that lies directly on the equator, is very special to God and to me. It's the first heavenly nation, a nation where Heavenly Parent prepared the president and the people to receive the holy marriage blessing and the youth to make a pure love pledge. After conducting these events, I took a little rest on the tiny island of Seychelles. The crashing waves, the refreshing breeze. I walked along the shore of an emerald green sea whose dancing waves smiled and greeted me. The white sand between my toes was soft and warm. I felt truly at peace, enveloped in a cloudless sky, touched by cool rhythmic breezes and warm sunshine. I saw the beauty God created for us in the beginning, intact and untouched. I communed with God and the one who gives this blessing. And then she goes on to commune. So Mother is now speaking in the second person directly to Heavenly Parent. You freely gave the creation to us, your children, and you hope to dwell with us in joy and peace. You wished for nothing more than to be the Heavenly Parent, sharing the beauty of creation with your son and daughter. You created them to grow to maturity, marry with your blessing, and become true parents of their own children. When they fell away, you and we lost everything. We commonly say that when we lose a child, we bury a piece of our heart. Suddenly losing a beloved child for whom we would willingly give our own life brings pain and anguish beyond imagination. Our God, you lost humankind, your family. As you pushed your way through history, you must have been like a traumatized parent who lost his senses, his entire being in shambles. You are not a God of glory and joy. You are a heartsick parent filled with mourning and sorrow over your lost children. Nonetheless, as Jesus said in the parable of the lost sheep, you could not abandon even the least of your children. As the God of love you pushed forward one day to one day find us, embrace us with your bosom, and realize with us the world of peace that you envisioned in the beginning. You wanted us to know you as Heavenly Parent. You want us to live as heavenly individuals, heavenly families, heavenly tribes, peoples, nations, and a heavenly world. The fallen world lost your ideal of man, woman, oneness. That's like amazing. I never saw those words together. The ideal of man, woman, oneness. Think about that. And worshipped an incomplete image of the Heavenly Father rather than welcoming and attending Heavenly Parent. Men took the dominant position and shaped Western civilization through the Hellenic and Hebraic traditions. Neither men nor women understood the feminine heart of the Heavenly Mother and the perfect eternal love of Heavenly Parent. Lacking this existential awareness, the feminist movement that erupted in the West could not but degenerate into a one-note movement blaming men for all their problems. I mean, what a profound thinker she is, and that's what blows me away. For this reason, I'm investing everything to restore to you your original position as our Heavenly Parent. I traveled to the north, south, east, and west in order to teach God's truth, teach the truth of heaven's providence to those who have ears but have not heard, to those who have eyes but have not seen, with a desperate and urgent heart, as if searching for a needle in the midst of a sandstorm, while unable to see an inch in front of me. I proclaim the truth of heaven's providence. Like a person who's beside herself with desperation, I embrace the world again and again, loving all your children as my own. With my whole heart, I embrace even those young children, your children who are unaware of the truth, have misunderstood and persecuted me, and as I do, you heal the wounds that they inflict. During the last 40 days of 2019, despite challenges to my health and sometimes physical exhaustion, I continually traversed the earth. I had pledged to complete this path within my lifetime, and I did not break my promise to you. Political and religious leaders lowered their guard, responded, and embraced each other. People began referring to me as the mother of peace. I mean, every time I read this, like, man, she is such a poet. It's beyond Shakespeare, really. Now your true sons and daughters who share my passion are appearing. You guys all see that in your region. You see it, right? You've lived it. We've all been part of that. Our skin colors are irrelevant. I have filial children. I love this part. I have filial children with black skin, yellow skin, and white skin. Sons who are Muslim leaders and daughters who lead large Christian churches. I have sons and daughters who lead nations. All of these mother-child ties came about in your name. She's talking to God, right? My children ask me to bless their nations and religion. Before them and their peoples, I talk about you, our Heavenly Parent. I talk about Heavenly Mother, hidden behind Heavenly Father, and explain that if there is an only begotten Son, there is an only begotten daughter. And we'll scroll down here to the bottom. Third to last paragraph. We hear this one right here. I am weaving the golden strands of your love into a story of shared historical suffering. I look back upon my life as an unrelenting mission to attend God as our parent from the position of his only begotten daughter. Not being able to memorialize everything into one volume, I will share more in the future. As I complete this book, one person I dearly miss at this moment is my beloved husband, Father Sun Myung Moon. We spent our lives together to convey and accomplish God's will, and he and I experienced much more together than I can share at this time. In September of 2012, he ascended to heaven. If he were here to witness the publication of this book, his face would shine with a joy greater than that of anyone else. The sparkle in his eyes is dancing in my heart today. I hope that this book will reveal a taste of our life spent together for God's will. Lastly, I'd like to express my sincere gratitude to all those who devoted their time and expertise and to accomplish this book's publication. I just love that preface. And then I'm going to show you this opening anecdote here is that Korean Independence Day, and these pictures haven't been seen before. They're all black and white. So they're kind of antiques, these pictures. This is Mother when she was a middle school student with her grandma, right? Her hominy. Amazing, amazing. And then I'm going to script through this. Beautiful pictures all through it. And then she goes into the Sonic Peace Prize. But I'm going to go back here. When I read this, John, I kept a diary on a Google sheet, and I made notes as I experienced stuff that I never felt before.
Yeah.
I wanted to record just a note to go back, and so I did. I'm looking at my other screen here on page 18, where she talks about this beautiful poem. And here, second paragraph. This poem is about living with your father and mother, creating a house for your father and mother. So it's the heart of Hyojong, right? Everything and everyone loves the sun. Only with the sun can life flourish. The moon, on the other hand, bestows something else. The sun represents splendor, the moon tranquility. When people are far from home, they tend to think about their hometown and long for their parents while looking at the moon, not at the sun. Isn't that true, right? You can't really look at the sun, right, and think memories, right? You look at the moon and you remember your childhood. Here's what Mother says. I have fond memories of gazing at the moon together with my husband. We watched it with many members during the Korean Chuseok Harvest Festival and at the full moon of the new year. Nonetheless, those moments were rare. My husband and I could not immerse ourselves in such tranquility. After the work is done, my husband would always say, and so would I, after this work is finished and we have a bit of free time, we'll be able to take a break. And so I'm going to go down one other anecdote, page 39 here. takes us to Africa and goes all over the world. So you're traveling with Mother. Imagine you're traveling in her plane, and she's telling you these stories. And so this one was page 39. I wrote my note here, John. Memories of her childhood make me remember my childhood. Yeah. That's my experience here. So look at this. Unlike the thatched roof houses here nearby, my house had a tile roof and a big front porch. Behind it rose a small verdant hill covered with chestnut and pine trees. Beautiful flowers bloomed and colorful leaves fell with the rhythm of the seasons, and I heard every kind of bird singing and chirping together. When spring warmed the earth, yellow forsythias smiled brightly between the fences, and azaleas bloomed red on the hill. A small stream flowed through our village, and except when it froze solid in midwinter, I could always hear the laughing sound of the water. I grew up enjoying the happy sounds of the birds and the stream as if they were a choir of nature. Even now, thinking of life in my hometown is like snuggling into a cozy and heartwarming mother's embrace. This memory brings tears to my eyes. And she goes on, that kind of experience that she's sharing naturally makes me, I'm sure it makes you feel like, wow, I remember I was like 5, 6 years old. My early memories of after it rained or after my dad cut the grass or those kind of things, you know. Anyway, there's a lot of other things, but I want to just encourage you all to look forward. This is Mother and her mother, and then she goes all through America and so many different things here that I think what we'll do in the interest of time is finish the touching of the book tonight. Oh yeah, this is pretty. Some of these pictures are pretty amazing. Her stories about the Korean War were unbelievable, just unbelievable, and it is like being in a movie and reliving the sound of artillery. She talks about a blue flash. It was a bomb that went off nearby. She saw lots of people get killed. I never knew that. Mother saw it when she was 6, 7 years old. So, but most important is as she comes to the end of the book and she culminates in New York with the World Clergy Leadership Conference that all of us worked on. You guys brought a whole bunch of ministers there, and that was such a significant moment, a turning point. So, having said all that, my conclusion is that the memoir is a journey into Mother's life and heart and psyche, and her thinking, her intellect, her poetry, her sense of culture and art and beauty, how she sees the world. You can get inside and look at the world through her eyes. And what I found is, therefore, like she said on the front page, it's a window into her life. And for me, the other metaphor, which has to do with class, it became a mirror. It is a mirror. My engagement with this book, and it's still ongoing, is a mirror to myself. I can see myself anew it's like looking into the heart and womb of my mother, from whom I come, right? It's like this rebirth experience somehow. I think that's what's going on. I think this book is going to transform millions of people. So with that, then the result of it is another metaphor of fire, energy. I feel energy, new energy. I want to get up earlier. I want to do more. I want to be sharper, think clearer, be more decisive, take clear action, give it my best shot every time I'm up to bat. No matter what happens, you miss the ball, and then you're using baseball as a metaphor. You still go up to bat and keep swinging. So getting back to the work to be done, that promise to do 43, that's a simple decision to make. And anybody that's on the call that's done that, you know, I know how you feel. I did it too. And if you're praying over those 43 people, that's important. We're talking a lot too about making sure you keep them in a list. We're working with Henry Schaffler and Joshua Angelucci. I'm concerned that eventually you're going to want to communicate with all those people by email and phone. So it's like a sales list, right? It's a prospect list. So I encourage you to get that list, pray over it, start communicating. I'm looking now for a marketing firm that's going to help us with advertising, and that's what the publisher will do. David Rendell is heading up the logistics on the distribution of the book. The book is on the press as we speak. It'll be finished this Wednesday, Thursday, 2021, May. So by next week, it'll be shipped out. We're still working out the details on the logistics. It will be on Amazon eventually, so that you can prompt your people to go to Amazon and buy it. The first wave will come directly out to you, so you can share it with people. You can ask them for a contribution. You can sell it. You can do whatever you plan. And one thing we did over on the East Coast the other day is have a brainstorming session, because I'm interested as the publisher marketing guy. What do you need to do the best job of communicating professionally? We don't want you to have to reinvent stuff. I work with Reverend Dunkley and his team, although the team has shrunk. But I'm also, I spent the day today talking to 8 different companies that are professional book marketing companies. Those are very specific niches. So we want to develop Facebook ads and different things you can use, email content that you can share with people, stuff like that, video clips, things like that. So, John, I think what I'd like to do at this point is, if there are questions or if people have suggestions, to go use the chat bar so we get a record of it. I have a page here. These are about 30 different recommendations from Subregion 2 of what people were thinking about. Like, one of the brothers was from Africa. Are we going to have it, could it be translated in Swahili? What about Spanish? What about French? What about Audible? What about a Kindle book? All of those things will be coming. So there's some really good suggestions there. So, Brother John, I'm back to you, and I'm happy to take questions or comments or whatever you like.
Tom, thank you so much for this tonight. My goodness, that was such a beautiful, what was that? The forward, right? That was amazing.
Preface. That's the preface. That's
so incredible. Anyway, thank you for the selection. I know that there's just so much in this thing, guys, and just to give you just a taste, just a taste, right, of what Mother's memoirs is and will be. And I'm sure if it's like anything else like this, different people catch different things at different times, and then you read
Absolutely.
things more than you catch new things and things like that. So if you have any questions for Tom, please just type them in the chat box there. Isaac can identify it. Maybe Isaac, you can come back on, unmute yourself, and then call out. Maybe Tom, you could, or if you see something in the chat box, Tom, that you like, or you'd like to,
Sure.
you can also mention it too.
Sure, no, it's no problem. Or if you don't have questions, how do you feel about it? How do you feel about, this is to me the $1 million question, $1 billion question, $1 trillion question. What's the status or nature of my relationship with True Mother? Like, honestly speaking, sometimes she'll say things I think, what in the world? How does someone even think I'm the mother of the universe, for example?
Right.
Or I'm the only begotten daughter. How does someone think like that? Well, this book allowed me to get on a track here where I realized, wow, God groomed her. She was prepared from the time she was a little girl. And she really is like God's daughter, right? Her own father was loving but kind of faded out. I don't know the whole story there, but it's amazing to get in.
In your own reading tonight, she said, I was born the only begotten daughter. And so
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So
We have a from Rachel. My daughter has a question for you. She's connected via phone, so she can't put anything in the chat. So,
okay.
Rachel, what is the question? Just how much for each book? Okay, big question. The price, we're setting that. There's still a little discussion. We're doing a little more research on the price. It won't be more. Retail price on Amazon will not be more than $19.95. So it'll be under $20. It's the same quality book as True Father's autobiography. So it's not hardbound, it's softbound, but very good quality paper, great cover. It doesn't feel cheap. It'll feel very nice. So $19.95 is a fair price. Probably could think of going a little lower than that. Not probably lower than $16.95. In Korea, it was sold for 16,000 won, which is about $14.50. We're also looking now very carefully at how to do this in a way that can generate revenue for the national level as well as the regional level somehow. We also need to think about, I talked today about with Angelica Selly, Mrs. Selly, the head of Women's Fed. They've committed 2,000 books. I talked with Bruce Grodner, Reverend Grodner of ACLC, and Dr. Rouse committed 2,500 books. And so the question there is, how do we help ACLC people engage this? Even if there were 100 ministers around the country that took 50 or 20 books each. I mean, that's a couple thousand books. So we need to be creative. This first phase of 10,000 books is kind of be a prototype experimental time. So we're going to learn together about it. But figure the price is going to end up being between $16.95 and $19.95. We're working also to figure out a reasonable bulk discount. So I'm kind of negotiating that. The Washington Times Global Media Group is the publisher, and we are creating a working relationship with Family Fed as a marketing distribution agent. So rather than me set the price, we're working it out with Damien and Reverend Rendell and everybody. And it sure is great to see Andy Compton, man. Andy Compton is the rock star of the planet Earth.
So true.
Your lectures, I'll tell you what happened with Chosen. I went to every single day. I think with Mother's book, Mother's speech, and the Divine Principle, put the Divine Principle back out in the marketplace. And Reverend Compton is the virtuoso. And I'll tell you, it was fantastic. Okay, let me see here. Such a blessing to hear your reflections. Thank you for your guidance to read Mother's speech out loud and record it. That was from Laura Lay. Please do that. If you've never done that, it's real powerful. I've been doing that for years. I've listened to it in the car. I listen to it when walking. I like the sound of my own voice.
On the call too, Reverend Busing and Mrs. Busing, I see.
Oh yes, Reverend Busing. I saw Richard and Marjorie, my dear friends. Why don't you say something, Richard? Reverend Busing. Oh, he says, Richard says, it's very poetic. It's very representative of the Mother of Peace. How many books to a case? We're working with that's the mind of a farmer, right? How many apples can you put in a bushel? He is a farmer. He comes from a farm family. So we're working with the with the printer, which is right nearby the Washington Times. It's the same printer called Chromographics that printed True Father's autobiography over a 2-year period, over 500,000 books. They've really worked well with us, and we're looking at doing something like maybe a 6-pack, like 6 books to a small box, or a dozen books, or 20 books. So we'll get that information the next couple days. So that, and by the way, the ordering process for the first 10,000 books is, we could consider it a soft launch, and that's going to be through HSA Books, which is part of our Family Fed headquarters. And Jonathan Gullery is creating an order form, so you'll go on that website and order those books in bulk, in small, half a dozen, 20, or whatever. So that'll be clear in the next couple days. We need to kind of coordinate with our printer, plus with Jonathan, and also deal with the pricing. And they will ship the books directly to your home from the dock, from the plant. So that'll be good.
Reverend Rendell, Tom, I think Reverend Rendell's with us too. Reverend Rendell,
David, is he here?
What's up, brother?
Reverend Rendell on the phone?
Yeah, Tom, I
Okay,
just stopped by.
David,
I'm
man,
late, but
not a problem. So great working with you. So please go ahead.
Because Reverend Rendell is a champion of this country. I mean, every single event that we did last year for True Parents and True Mothers Tour, David Rendell was the unsung hero of those events. He worked on every single region's event. He's got bragging rights for all the victories. Actually, I mean, it's incredible what he did, and he's doing the same with this. Reverend Rendo's treating this as a marathon or as an event in its own right, and he's working diligently on this. If it weren't for him, we wouldn't be half the place where we are now. So, Reverend Rendo, would you like to share anything with our community here? Thank you.
Thank you, John. I mean, it's really all of you guys that make all of this happen. Believe me. And another person in your community who's been very helpful is Isaac Hernandez. I had a chance to work with him and Marina on a couple of these events. We worked together in Vegas. We worked together in New York at the Prudential event, and he is really your great gem in Subregion 4.
Well, thank you for.
Anyway, I appreciate Tom McDevitt. He's amazing. He was born for this project. With the experience with the Washington Times and all of his professional experience. I just pray that this book can really have an impact on America.
Me too.
That's my main hope. America needs True Mother more now than ever before. I think God is really preparing the foundation for amazing things to happen between now and 2027. So I'm going to do the same thing. The reason I came on tonight, I just got off of another call, but I want to do this in Subregion 3 as well. So John Jackson, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
For following the lead from Subregion 2 and for being an amazing leader in your district and subregion together. So God bless you guys. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate that, David. Thank you so much, and thank you for what you're doing every day. Brothers and sisters, Reverend Rendell just reminded me one of the reasons why I called up on this meeting. I think in order for this book, True Mother's Memoirs, to really affect this nation, it needs to affect the people on this Zoom call tonight first. Because based on the work that it's going to do in our heart or in our mind or in our spirit, in our relationship with true parents and with True Mother, it's also going to affect us so that we will share this book with the nation. And by doing so, I really do believe we will change this nation. I feel this book is the greatest, one of the best opportunities we've had to do this since Father's autobiography. An incredible opportunity that we've been given. So I wanted to just open the door here for that. It's not difficult to make a commitment. When I went on this, I didn't know what I was going to do. When I went on the motherofpeace.com website, you go to motherofpeace/share, and you go to a web page that is a picture of Mother and her as a young woman, a young girl, and it has a little window on it. Isaac, can you put that up there? You got a slider? Can you go to that for us and share that with us? I want you to see what this is. There it is. That's what the page looks like. If you haven't made this commitment today, take your cell phone out and just type in motherofpeace.com/share.
//
Or /share. Is that what? Oh yeah, /.
Yeah.
Okay.
Click on the pledge. Click on the pledge button. Show people what it's like. Real
right
simple.
there, in the little blue box, right there below the marquee, share story. That little blue one. You click on that. Go ahead and click on it, Isaac.
There you go.
There you are. You just name, first and second, right? Your first and last name, then your email address, phone number, and then what is it? Quantity. What?
Yep.
Oh, city and state. Okay, I'm at the other end of the table, so I can't actually even read it. But this takes less than 5 minutes to fill out.
Hey, David. There's a typo in quantity. Type in the quantity. Quantity. So.
Oh,
I have a question.
Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
go ahead.
I spoke with Reverend Jackson over the phone about making a pledge about 2 weeks ago. Do we still need to fill this form out?
You know what, we put in that pledge, and then, but that pledge actually, in order for headquarters to know that your pledge is actually, they're doing all of them online through this site.
Okay.
That's how they're
Okay.
recording them. So
Okay,
the question, the answer to your question and to anybody else's who sent that information to me is, please go to this website
Okay.
and make your pledge there. Even if you called me, I want you to make your pledge there.
Okay.
And that way it'll be recorded from there, and headquarters, I know that you've done it, but headquarters will know also, and they'll have it in their format that they need it in. Also, when you put in your quantity there, you don't, it isn't, you're not buying 43 books or 430 books or whatever, you're not buying those books today. You're just making your determination. And that's one of the things that I remember so clearly that Father taught us. How do we win anything? It's the providence of the start. Our determination when we start that thing determines the outcome and the victory.
That's a good point.
And that's all we're doing. We're making that determination that I want to do this. And I saw a brother the other day do this, and he made a determination that was so strong. And this guy doesn't have any money of his own. I mean, he doesn't even have a job. And he pledged 430 books, and then he said, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm just going to ask for help. And now people are making conditions. They're sending him money online on Facebook just so that he can compare those books. Sure. Isn't that amazing?
Sure.
That kind of God. Once we commit like that, once we make determinations, God is compelled to move on our behalf to help us to accomplish those goals. So I really want to encourage you tonight. Do this today. Don't wait till tomorrow. Do what you make that determination tonight. You won't regret it. And when can I get my early release, Tom? Can I be first publication? I mean first print. I mean.
You got to give David. David and I are working that all out. We can make it happen quickly. So,
that's wonderful.
They're rolling off the press. I mean, 2021. Figure the 21st of March, 21st of May is Thursday. Friday is the 22nd. So, by it's. I think it'd be a good thing to. We're getting the form up soon. Did Jonathan get that done today, David? Do you know?
It'll be ready tomorrow. It'll be ready tomorrow.
That's obviously an important thing because we're going to have early activists here that are going to want to get books in their hands. And first thing to do is get in your hands and schedule some time with your favorite coffee or tea and under a nice tree or something and read it. I'm going to give you one final point.
Actually, as your sub-regional leader, for those of you who are in my sub-region 4, I have a direction for all you state leaders and pastors, okay? And it's this. I want your city, your church, okay, to commit to 43 as well. Not just your members, not just your family, but I'd like your church to do that so that you have that body of text, True Parents book or Mother's memoirs at your church physically. Because any event that you have at the church, True Mother's book ought to be there.
There you go. That's a good idea.
You shouldn't be having any events when we start meeting back at the church, when we start having prayer breakfasts, when we start doing women's events and men's breakfast. I don't care who. True Parents book Mother's book should be there, and it should be on display, and we should be ready for it. So I'm telling you, this is one instruction that I'm giving you, that you leaders, pastors, please order 43 of those books for your church. There's going to be somebody who didn't hear the call or didn't hear the message or something, right? And you'll have it for them. So everybody will be able to receive that. And then for our friends of the family, the Heavenly Parents community, they'll be able to get that book too because you have it on site. I think that's
Reverend Jackson.
Yes, sir.
One thing I'd like to point out: we didn't have time tonight to brainstorm, but any of you that have questions or if you imagine like that scenario that Reverend Jackson just pointed out, that makes me think, David, we need merchandising, point of sale, signage, that is consistent, and be able to market the book in physical locations eventually. But there are dozens of different tools we need as time goes on. And any ideas you have, just flow it to Reverend Jackson. And then, John, if you get it to David and I, and we'll bake that into our marketing toolkit. All right. So I want you to all be proud and think like you're really marketing and selling the most valuable book on the earth right now, other than the principle in the Bible. I mean, so we want you to have confidence with the professional, your best dressed Sunday best. And John, I wanted to share my screen with one final tidbit,
Yes,
and then
sir.
I'm going to be finished. This is the kind of anecdote that occurs in the book that I'm going to leave you with, and you're going to really appreciate this. I'm just going to wet the taste. She reads here, one day not long after that, hearing the sound of a magpie sitting on a branch of a tree near the window of my dormitory room, I had a premonition that I was about to receive good news. I went to the window, opened it, looked up at the sky, and I heard God's voice. I never heard this story before.
Man.
Those were the days in which God was giving me revelations, not only in my dreams, but also like waves coming down from the clear blue sky. I heard the words, "The time is near." In the subsequent paragraphs, in the next page, what happens is mother's mother tells her, "Hey, you and I have to go to the church. They called us. It's really important." They go to the church and have the meeting with Father, when mother then realized that she was the one chosen as the bride. She tells that story. It goes on. It's just like amazing. So just to whet your appetite with the kind of intimate knowledge you're going to have about your true mother. And I guarantee it's going to change your life. So, John, that's all I want to say tonight. I'm going to get back off of the stop. It's 10:11 or it's 9:11 your time. So, again, any questions or recommendations, get them into Reverend Jackson, and John, you get it over to Reverend Rendell and I. And I want to thank everybody for your beautiful comments there. And Andy, are you there? Reverend Andy? Yeah. Andy, can you make you made a beautiful comment here, but why don't you share, you're kind of the senior scholar of the truth. And,
I'm not sure if I should claim that title at all. Yeah, I just want to, I guess for me, I feel like, we've had a lot of different weapons kind of in God's fight to establish his kingdom. And one of the big challenges is to educate people. We all know that. When people really understand deeply, then they naturally want to become a part of God's family and our movement. And I have this sense like this, a new age is dawning after this big, terrible virus and pandemic. And it's kind of like we're going to emerge with this amazing kind of, not a weapon, but we have this amazing instrument. I think it's going to be a whole new level in which we're going to be able to share God's love and truth with the world through our true mother. So I'm just really excited, and I think it's going to be a whole new era. And I think we're going to find people who are going to more and more be lining up to want to know about true parents and about the divine principle. Yeah. Anyway, thanks, Tom. It was really a wonderful presentation.
Oh, thank you so much. And thank you again for your lectures. And I see Senator Joy Garrett is here. Thank you, Joy. She made some nice comments there. So, okay, man.
Thank you
Reverend
so
Jackson.
much. Thank you,
You know,
Tom. Thank you for everything.
All I ask for tonight is a rain check to taste your Texas barbecue sometime in the near future.
As soon as they'll let you get on a plane and come down here, Tom, you got it.
I'm a country music barbecue guy, so.
Oh my gosh, we got both of those in spades.
I feel very much at home in your region, although my hometown is in Reverend Rendell's region in Gary, Indiana. So.
Amen.
Right.
Well,
all right.
So here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to ask Richard Busing Could you offer a prayer to close us out tonight, Reverend Busey?
Yes, I'll be happy to. Let us pray, everyone. Our loving Heavenly Parent, beloved true parents, we got such a beautiful insight into our true mother's heart just from the preface of the book and the words which Tom McDevitt shared with us. Heavenly Parent, we want the world to know that you are the parent of all humankind, that you love everyone as your children, and that the true parents brought to this world the way to come to know you in a way which nobody's ever known you before. Heavenly Parent, we want this book to be the bestseller of all books in America.
Yes.
We want to resurrect our true mother's name, that she can really be known as the Mother of Peace.
Yes.
She is definitely the greatest of all of human history. We want her to be more known than Mother Teresa or Hillary Clinton or anybody's presidential wife. We want her to be known as the Mother of Peace throughout America and the world. Heavenly Parent, I pray that through this book in America, good things can come to this nation, that even our leadership of this nation can come to recognize our true mother, and that through this book, people can come to know you as they've never, ever known you before. So we ask your blessing upon Tom McDevitt and all those working on this book, that you can please guide them and make this flow smoothly, and that it can be spread through all the channels that we have in this country to make it available to not only our members, but to every single American. Thank you,
Yes,
Heavenly Parent, for this evening. We're so grateful that we could gather as brothers and sisters and share in this delightful evening together and receive your spirit and the spirit of our true parents. We want to offer this time to you. I report this in the name of Richard and Marjorie Busing, a blessed central family. Adieu.
Adieu.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Be sure to get True Mother's speech. Study it before you get
Thank
the
you
book.
so much. Yes,
It's
sir.
a great framework.
Headquarters
Great
sent it
framework.
out. Headquarters sent it out also, an official copy. So I can get that to anybody who doesn't have it. If you need it, just let me know. I think we have it here. Yep.
Print it out and highlight it and make it your own. Make it part of your own body of knowledge.
Thank you. God bless you, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Thank you so much for sharing.
God bless you guys.
Appreciate you so much.
God bless everybody. Thank you, Reverend Jackson.
Goodbye to you. Have a good evening, everyone.
I'm not in a hurry, so I'll
Good night, y'all.